Hello, this is my spider animation through keyframes. And as you can see, the first quantity that I chose was the eye position via the GViewLookAt call. And so for the three quantities that I chose related to like eye position, I decided to do eye position X, eye position Y, and eye position Z. And as you can see, this allows us to look at the spider in all dimensions. So I can look at him from the left to the right, below him, and it's also reflected in the code. I have specific calls for to look at the spider in different directions, and that's what allows this really dynamic looking camera that kind of like pans over the spider in very unique ways. And as for the second quantity that I chose, I decided to do light color. And as you can see, I decided to keep the grid from last project, and I decided to illuminate this grid with a point light. And so given this point light, it allowed me to illuminate the entire scene. And so that more clearly conveyed what I was doing in terms of lighting. And so if you kind of look at the grid, you can see how it changes colors very dynamically. And I decided to do three quantities related to like color, which is one quantity for the red property, one for the green, and one for the blue. And so I have specific keyframe values to modify each RGB value of the lighting. And then a quantity that I chose was actually quite a few, and that this mostly relates to the object itself. So for the spider, I chose to do scaling, translation, and coloring. And for coloring, I chose to animate all the RGB values of the spider. So as you can see, for starting up with like scaling, you can see how the spider kind of like crawls across that grid over there. And I was able to use keyframe animations to translate it depending on how far it is in the animation. And as for scaling, I decided to make the spider a bit bigger or smaller depending on how far we are in the animation. As you can see there, it got really big and then it shrinks right there, while also going farther away from you. And the next quantity that I changed was the color. So as you can see, this spider is an RGB spider, so it cycles through the color wheel. I did this to convey a really dynamic looking spider that changed color quite more elegantly, just like the grid it's on. And this made it look like a very visually stunning animation, in my opinion. And as far as like the requirements, I chose three quantities related to eye, look at, or up vectors. So I chose three quantities related to the eye. So I had the eye position X, Y, and Z. And so for the quantities related to the light source, I decided to do light color. So that was the RGB values of the light color. And then as for like the object itself, I decided to do scale, color, and position. So in total, that was 9 quantities. And of course, each quantity has 6 keyframe animations associated with it. And this is reflected in the code itself. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this is common throughout all my keyframe animations. And lastly, the length of the animation is going to be 10 seconds. And that was done through implementing that sample code I was given, where I would have a global constant, and I would convert that into current time in one of the functions provided. So overall, I believe the spider accomplishes all of the requirements, and that is my project 4. Thank you so much.